Third phase of moon.
Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. My name is Blake Cousins, and we're excited tonight about our radio show tonight, live on Blog Talk Radio. We're going to be speaking with international acclaimed skeptic Robert Schaefer. We at Third Phase of Moon, we want to hear all sides of the stories, believers, debunkers. You have something to say about the videos you see on Third Phase of Moon? We want to get every side and every opinion because that's what we do. We want to keep it transparent and get the word out. And we're receiving callers from both sides of what they believe, of what's going on over the skies of planet Earth. And we're going to go right now to Robert Schaefer, skeptic and debunker of UFOs. Hey, I want to thank you for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon, Robert.
My pleasure, Blake.
Okay, well, let's get right to it. I want to ask you one simple question, Robert, because, it's the biggest question out there. Do you believe that we are alone in this universe?
Well, it's interesting you should ask the question that way. I call it the prime UFO fallacy when people think that if you don't believe in the sightings that people are reporting, that therefore you're saying, well, there can't be anybody else out there in the universe. No, that's not what I think at all. I know that the universe is vast. It's more vast than we can imagine. Sometimes I get my telescope out and look at the stars, and I'll tell you, it's just astonishing when you contemplate how big, how far away those stars are and those galaxies are. So in a galaxy, in a universe this large, I don't see any way we could possibly be alone. But that does not mean that just because they're out there somewhere, that they got to be here right now.
Well, you have a point. Robert, can you tell our audience and our viewers listening who you are and what your background is on the UFO subject matter?
Yeah, I've written a couple UFO books. Most recently was UFO Sightings, Prometheus books. I also have a blog, which is badufos.com, where I try to keep up with the latest of what's going on and what claims are being made in the UFO world. I have been associated with PsyCop, or CSI, the skeptics organization, for a number of years. I'm a fellow of CSI. I used to work actually very closely with Philip J. Klass. I'm sure most of you know who that is and who he was. And so I guess that's, in a nutshell, that's where I'm coming from.
Great. Robert, out of all the investigations you've done, you have an opinion that, they're not visiting Earth, and so therefore all the video out there and the evidence, you pretty much have an answer for them all?
Well, I haven't seen every last one of them, but there's with videos as well as with just sighting cases, there's sort of a hierarchy that the people who are the proponents of these cases and these videos kind of select the ones that they like the best, and the ones that they cite the most are the ones that we skeptics go after. Because, and it's Phil Klass always said this. He says, don't waste your time, investigating some, little sighting from, Podunk or someplace where nobody's ever heard of, and he sees a light in the sky. Even after you put a lot of effort into that and find out what it was, people just say, oh, you picked an easy one. No, you don't do that. So you go after Betty and Barney Hill, you go after Travis Walton, you go after the really big cases, And you'll find that for just about every major UFO case that's happened in recent years, that there is at least one, skeptical analysis of it, either on the web or in a book or whatever. And now you can accept it or not, but at least I think to be fair, you should. If you think such and such a case is really good, well, you should read what the skeptics have to say, and of course you've already read the other side, and then make up your mind after reading that.
Well, the way it sounds about the way you're explaining it, besides, it doesn't sound like it's a skeptic or a debunker. More like it's basically make up your own mind and use a little bit of common sense.
Yeah, I think if that were done, there'd probably be a lot fewer supposedly unexplained cases, because let's face it, a lot of these videos, many of them come from places we don't even know where they come from, and we don't know, how they were made. In some cases we do, but So that is a big red flag right there. And of course now everybody has got video cameras and such as video cameras inside just ordinary cameras that you buy at your, local store for a snapshot camera. So one would expect that there would be if there's all these abductions and all these close encounters and whatever going on, you would expect to have huge numbers of really good close-up pictures. I don't mean little dots, little blurs in the sky, because let's face it, most of these things that we see, who is it that calls them blurfos or blur UFOs? They're not. They could be anything. It's just a little black spot that goes, well, what's that? I'm talking about if there's a close encounter, I want to see a good, big, close, clear thing in a video, not just maybe one frame. And if it's really happening, several people will get it from different perspectives. If there were things like that, situations like this, it would be pretty hard for a skeptic to deny the evidence if there were that kind of evidence, but that's not what we get. I mean, we do get sometimes multiple witnesses and multiple videos and things like that for certain cases, like, for example, the Phoenix Lights, the second part, which actually was a flare drop from the Air National Guard. And so we know what it was. It's almost like an inverse relationship between the better the physical evidence for the UFO in terms of the number of people seeing it and the number of people photographing it, the better that is, the worse the UFO itself is, because we know absolutely what it was. It was a flare drop. There's some cases where we think we know what it was, not completely sure, and it's more ambiguous. But then, those are never the ones that we have a lot of evidence and really good photos for.
Well, Third Phase of Moon, we've been on YouTube for the past 4 years now. We've asked people from around the world if they've captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs to contact us via Skype or Facebook. We've had over 60 Skype interviews with eyewitnesses, video that we can't explain, looks like there's no enhancement or whatsoever. There are some amazing videos. We have an archive of over 600 sent to us. Some of them are suspect. We're not claiming every single one of them are authentic. We're just putting it out there. This is material we received, and then we let the people decide. But I have to say that, you're saying blurry. There's a lot of footage on Third Phase that, it's crystal clear. It's unexplainable. A theory, let's go into a couple things. First of all, the government is a very powerful entity, as we all know. And, if they had the knowledge of alien existence, do you think they would tell us? And do you think possibly some of these things that are being caught on video are military-operated kind of CIA drones doing fantastic maneuvers, maybe 40 or 60 years in advance of technology? It's classified. They're classified. You don't know what it is. It's a UFO.
Well, I think it's very unlikely that they would have any technology that's that advanced that it would be in a drone. I'll grant you that a very small number of these cases probably are military technology. You're talking about, some kind of a stealth fighter that might be, flown out of Area 51 or some such thing. But physics and so on places limits on what you can do, and in order to do these crazy, or seemingly crazy maneuvers, there would have to be some very fundamental changes in our understanding of physics, and that hasn't happened. So I can't see that anything like that is likely at all. As I said, there's this hierarchy there. Now, out of those 600 videos, there must be at least a few that you and the other people there think are the best. These are the ones to be promoting. Now, if you know who Mark D'Antonio is, who is a video photo analyst from MUFON, he's our chief photo analyst. I just heard him speak at the International UFO Congress a couple of weeks ago, and Lee Spiegel, the reporter at the Huffington Post, he writes stories for Weird News at the Huffington Post, and of course a lot of people send him videos. And
we've sent Scott Spiegel many, many times UFO,
right,
and he does not. He doesn't. People contact MUFON about videos.
Right.
They don't.
Well, but let me explain what he said. Spiegel sends these to D'Antonio, the ones that he thinks are good, and D'Antonio basically takes them apart. Even though he is not a skeptic, he believes some UFO cases are real, but he thinks everything. In fact, he said that to Lee. He said, "You haven't sent me anything so far that's unidentified." So I would just have to say, if people think that they're going to, fool people with this, they're going to have to do better. I find also, even on comments on that others are making, other UFO proponents are saying some rather complimentary things. What was it? The Paracasts, the third phase of the moon is a fraud group. Now, I wouldn't go that far, but I think there are a lot of people submitting frauds, But and there's a number of comments like this. So, and these people are not skeptics. So I would just have to say, I'm not, obviously I have not seen all 600 videos, and I tend to work on this, the hierarchy of the best cases. So if I say, if here is such and such a video and it seems to fall apart, and it was selected as the best, well, how much worse must the other ones be? So, that's the way I view it.
As long as there's some truth in there, then it blows everything apart. It means that they do exist. There are videos on there, like, again, I say they're suspect. But with over 600 of them, I would have to say, the majority seem very genuine, and they are unexplainable. And I suggest you take a look at them. Later on, I really want to get you some of these videos. Hey, Joe, thanks for joining us. And can you tell Robert Schaefer what your opinion is on the UFOs and what you think? Obviously there's something going on. Go ahead, Joe Rodriguez.
Okay. Yes. Hello, Blake. And hello, Robert.
Hi, Joe.
Hi. I was a skeptic, meaning that anytime I would hear someone talk about UFOs, I would think, what an idiot. And I'm an investigator. I've been an investigator since 1980. So I heard about this guy named Prophet Yahweh out of Vegas somewhere, and I saw him on the internet, that he could so-called call down UFOs and what have you, or lights, or...
Now, where is he located?
He's in Henderson, Nevada. This was 4 years ago. I gave him a call.
Yeah, I think I read something about that. And, yes, where he went to Las Vegas, I think, and did it there.
Not only that, but he came out on a radio station, news station, and they took reporters and everything, and the reporter said, if I wasn't here in person, I would not have believed what I just saw. So I gave him a call, too, to ask him some questions and stuff, so he kind of left some doubt in my mind. Then 4 years passed by, and I heard about this gentleman by the name of Robert Bingham, who was going to be summoning UFOs in L.A., and I live about 10 miles away from downtown L.A. I live near Pasadena. So I went ahead and made plans about a year ago to attend one of his groups, and I showed off my camera, videotaping him, videotaping the humans looking up, and to make sure that it wasn't balloons or whatever. I wanted to catch him in a scam, and I was going to report all this to my friends on YouTube and Facebook and everything. Well, I've got videotape of stuff that I videotaped, and these things were definitely not balloons. Some of them were balloons, but a lot of them were definitely not balloons. What they were like lights of plasma.
Joe, how many people were on the ground while you were eyewitnessing this? And but it wasn't just you by yourself. How many people?
No. A year ago, it was about maybe 20 people. A year ago.
Yeah, but
now
there were police officers that showed up. The LAPD were looking at things, and they couldn't explain what they were, right?
Right. I have a video under Joe Rodriguez on YouTube, and LAPD showed up on my second or third visit to one of these summonings or whatever, and they were very surprised at what they were seeing. As a matter of fact, an officer asked me, is it a planet? And this was 1 p.m., so obviously it wasn't a planet at 1 p.m. And
you wouldn't
see
it.
If it was a satellite, and I said, no, it's not a satellite. But my whole point is that there are some things out there, and I would be the first one to say these people are idiots that are claiming UFOs and all this. I mean, I couldn't stand those people, and now I go into IHOP and I scream out, hey, I saw UFOs.
Hey, Robert, the videos that are being captured when in Los Angeles, if you check out UFOs over Los Angeles, breaking news, there's some absolutely amazing videos. And these are not flies, let me tell you. Helicopters are swarming around this thing. It actually interconnects with this object and then darts and takes off because it didn't know what it was. This is no Chinese lantern. These aren't flies. Breaking news, UFOs over Los Angeles. You take a look at that one. I also want to tell everybody, freedomslips.com tomorrow, 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have Stanton T. Friedman. That's nuclear physicist Stanton T. Friedman. We're going to talk to him for 2 hours. We're going to ask the big questions. And this guy is, in my opinion, one of the top ufologists in the world, and he is not a dummy, and he knows, I think, what he's talking about. What would you have to say to Stanton T. Friedman, Robert, about him believing in real flying saucers?
Oh, I've talked to Stanton many times. Actually, if you look at my blog, which is badufos.com, there's a search bar up in the corner, and you just type in Friedman, and you'll see he and I have been battling heads. Actually, I've known him for many years. As you know, Phil Klass also had sort of an ongoing battles with Friedman. He's been promoting this thing, the fish map, that's supposed to prove that Betty Hill was abducted by real extraterrestrials, and she saw an extraterrestrial map. And I've been attacking that thing for a while, and now with some of the more recent discoveries coming in on satellites and everything in terms of the astronomy underlying the so-called fish map, it doesn't hold up. The details are there on bad UFOs. Also, I mean, there's, he's claiming all kinds of things about how extraterrestrial travel would be possible at 99% of the speed of light and so on. And then I quote papers that show the absurd things that you'd have to do to try to get up to that speed. And I mean, what he says about physics is for most part is right, but it doesn't apply in the way that he's claiming it applies.
But the guy's a nuclear physicist. I think he would have more of a platform to stand on talking about propulsion and getting to the speed of light or getting close to it. Nuclear airplanes this guy worked on. I think he, I would take his word for it over, I don't know your clarification in...
Papers I'm quoting is from physicists, from PhD physicists, including Edward Purcell, who won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1952. So, I mean, we're talking about people of even, more education and experience than him. Those nuclear airplanes were an interesting diversion, but they were much too heavy to be practical and really not safe enough to fly because an aircraft accident, just a crash of some kind, an accidental crash could, drop a nuclear reactor in the middle of a city, and it's not something that's a good idea to do.
Known to do pretty hairy, scary experiments, and I wouldn't doubt that they possibly do have. They launched Curiosity up to Mars, and it's a nuclear-powered rover there, apparently. And
but that's a very small thing. It's not a big. It's just a small little power plant that just powers that thing. That's like, the size of a. What is the size? Like a little ATV, a little all-terrain vehicle or something like that, which is, is enough. But I'm talking about if you're going to power an airplane or a nuclear rocket to try to take off and fly around, sooner or later you're going to have a really bad accident there.
Well,
it's a much bigger thing.
I'm not one to take the word of the government every single time, and I believe that it's a possibility that they're hiding technology, obviously for security reasons and to benefit themselves. Do you think there's a possible theory or it could be possible that technology could get so far in advance that we master some kind of time travel, and maybe some of the things people are seeing now are time travelers from the future? Is that theory possible in your brain, or?
I don't think it makes much sense because, like I said, the physics would breakthrough. If you're going to have breakthroughs in technology, fundamental breakthroughs, not just small improvements, but fundamental breakthroughs in technology have to be preceded by fundamental breakthroughs in physics. And if those breakthroughs in physics had been occurring, we would certainly know about it. Physicists are not going to keep their mouth shut if they, make some discovery that's going to win them the Nobel Prize.
Well,
they're not going to keep
did the Manhattan
quiet about it.
Over 100,000 people working on it, and nobody knew what was going on. The government knows how to keep secrets.
What you mean about the Manhattan Project?
Yes.
Yeah, well, and of course that's World War II. You've got a major war going on. Everybody knew that some sort of weapon was being built, but nobody knew what it was.
Have you ever heard of the singularity effect that may happen in the next 19, 20 years?
Well, it's interesting speculation, but...
I believe that the computers nowadays, but in 20 years into the future, we're going to be so fast with technology, they're going to build machines and people like us that are going to be a million times smarter than we are at this present date. They're just going to process. And they're going to come up with ideas that we can't even think of because we can't process as fast as what these things are going to be doing. And they're going to come up with...
Well, who knows what's really going to happen?
Yeah,
it's interesting speculation, but we don't know.
Well, look at the cell phone now. It costs us $100, and the technology is amazing. 10 years ago, it was the size of a skyscraper, and it cost $100 million. So,
well, not quite, but it was. There was no practical like a smartphone in those days. You would have to carry around something like a laptop, if you wanted that much functionality.
Well, things are getting faster, getting smaller, and
it's Moore's law that every 18 months the density of the circuits approximately doubles, and obviously that can't go on forever, or you're going to have infinite, computation. But because you have fundamental limits that, at some point, that just because of quantum effects and things, you're not going to be able to get smaller and smaller. But there's still a ways to go yet, so. Who knows where we'll end up with computers?
It's exciting, and I think a lot of what we're seeing in the skies have something to do with higher intelligence or fast processes. They're doing maneuvers that defy physics, and that you want to believe in physics all the way. I think physics is a way that is a kind of a Bible that can be broken, and it's not 100%. Mr. Schaefer, I want to ask you, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And do you believe...
Well, I'm not a religious person, and what I wanted to say to Joe was that he said he's not a religious person either, yet he's quoting these Bible verses, as if they were like inspired or infallible or prophetic or something. And that's almost the definition of a religious person, is somebody who believes, that the Bible is... some reliable guide to the future and has supernatural wisdom in it. I don't believe that at all. I think that the Bible is simply like so many other religious texts, and there's the Bhagavad Gita, and there's the Quran, and so on and so on. And many different religions have their religious texts. They tell the views and the beliefs of that culture as they stood at the time that those books were written. But I don't think that there's any supernatural or predictive ability to the Bible or anything like that. So I don't see, and I think a lot of people nowadays, even the people who are religious or do consider themselves Christians, still don't believe the Bible as infallible, that you can take a quote and say, okay, this quote says, such and such about, the future and prophecy, and to say that that's definitely going to happen, because I think even most religious people today who go to church on a regular basis still believe that the Bible is more, shall we say, like what would you say, analogies and parables rather than actual literal truth.
Right, Robert, I agree with you. I agree. Unfortunately, I do agree with you. And that's exactly what the problem is. Many, many so-called Christians, so-called God-believing Christians, don't even believe in the Bible or only believe parts of the Bible. Before you know it, they're worshiping the Virgin Mary, they're praying to her, they're worshiping to different saints, to all kinds of stuff. And that's why there's many religions out there, because nobody knows what to believe in. I am grounded in the scriptures. I used to be an atheist. I looked into it carefully to find out what the hell it was all about. And in my attempt to debunk it, I started learning and learning and learning. I need to ask you, Robert, what do you believe in?
Well, as I say, I'm not a religious person. I really don't believe in any revealed religion or supernatural things. I guess I would say I am a humanist, because I believe that the most important, as far as ethics and morality, the most important part of ethics and morality are what happens to human beings. That an action is wrong if it hurts people, and it's good if it tends to benefit people, rather than say it's good if it agrees with a certain book and it's bad if the book tells you not to do it. I don't see things that way. I think that the scientific evidence is overwhelming for Darwinian evolution, and that we are obviously related to all the animals of the earth, especially closely related to the great apes, to the chimpanzees and gorillas and things. It's obvious we had a common ancestor going back millions of years. And we map out the DNA of all these different animals, and it's very obvious, how the relatedness goes, the family tree goes. So no, I don't think there is a creator, and if there was a creator, he should have been more unambiguous about giving us messages, because the people in India have one book, and the people in the Middle East have another book, and the people in Europe have a different book, and it's not.
We're still very far from being animals. We may act like animals, but we're not animals at all.
It depends on what you call an animal. I mean, we're animals in the sense that we're, these living creatures with bodies, but if you want to say we're more than them, well, I would agree, but it would be in terms of more of a qualitative difference rather than a quantitative difference. That are, it's obviously animals, they have their own sense of what's right and what's wrong. They may not always follow it. You can find that from studying animal societies, and humans are. If you look at the DNA, there's no question we share 98 or 99% of the genes of that chimpanzee. But obviously, the 1% that we don't share makes our brains very different, and although I don't know if our emotions are all that different than theirs. Frankly, I think I see a lot of similarities between them and us, but. And animals are not necessarily, violent or aggressive or anything. A lot of them are peaceful much of the time. We share some of that, but, human beings are strange mixtures of a lot of different things.
And I also want to thank Robert Schaefer for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon. Any last words?
No, it's been my pleasure to be here. I just want to say, if people want to understand where I'm coming from and see some of the skeptical writings and information, look at my blog, badufos.com. There's, as I said, there's a search panel up there, and if you want us to settle that question of the fly video, put Denver Fly in the search box on Bad UFOs, and you'll see the videos that have already surfaced, and is hugely controversial, but I think that just about everybody except a few people now, accept that these really were just flies buzzing around in the park in Denver, and if you compare those to the Los Angeles flies, they look pretty much the same to me.
Yeah, everybody's got their own opinion, and, the Denver video, Scott Spiegel over there at the Huffington Post made it go viral.
Lee Spiegel, yeah.
Yeah, Lee Spiegel made it go viral at the Huffington. For some odd reason, he picked that ridiculous video and said these are, or, claimed that they're UFOs and this is what everybody should look at.
No, he was kind of not.
It went viral, and it was pretty ridiculous, in my opinion.
Yep.
There's so many videos on Third Phase. We have Skype interviews with eyewitnesses, real people from around the world, real video. That's the thing that people should be watching, and I hope maybe, like I said, that we could get you some videos and you could pass it on, get it to Lee, and have him look at it. And, again, thanks again, Robert Schaefer, for joining us. It has been our pleasure, and we'd love to get both sides of the opinion right here.
All right, well, it's good to talk to you, and you take care.
Appreciate it. If anybody out there has captured anything amazing in regards to UFOs, contact us at Third Phase of Moon. And I want to remind everybody, 2 to 4 Eastern Standard Time, freedomslips.com radio, Third Phase of Moon. We'll be interviewing nuclear physicist Stanton T. Friedman. And the best way to get in touch with us, if you have captured anything amazing, is Skype or Facebook. My name is Blake Cousins. Keep your eyes on the skies, and we'll see you again next time.